What's up, people? Welcome back to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Sunday afternoon. We've got an absolutely massive show to bring you today, but before we jump into that, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's get straight on into it. So, we're going to be talking a little bit about a big story that's come out in the last 24 hours surrounding none other than Mr. Anthony Martial. This is coming out from Alex Crook, who is a journalist for TalkSport. He's also a Manchester United fan. He's probably one of my favourite pundits, whatever you want to call them, on TalkSport. He's one of the better ones, definitely. And he is reporting that West Ham have registered their interest in Anthony Martial. Talks are still at an early stage, and there is no guarantee that Erik ten Hag would sanction the departure of the striker, with Manchester United now short on out-and-out number 9s. Okay, so that's the first bit of information that we've received. The second bit is coming out from Fabrizio Romano, and he says that Anthony Martial will be sold if the right offer comes in. Otherwise, he'll be part of the first team. And the other thing which is worth noting on this topic is Anthony Martial is now back in full training. He's no longer injured. He's playing on the grass with the rest of the squad, and he is available for the matchday selection. So that's the most positive thing of all of this. He's available to play. So if we do need him to feature in games, if we need him to come off the bench, if we do need more options in those striker positions, which of course we do, with Rasmus Højlund being out for 2 to 3 weeks, then we can somewhat rely on Anthony Martial. But looking at it from the perspective of this view, the fact that he's now fully fit, he's available, opens up the shop window for him. It does. It makes him available for other clubs to come in. And it looks like West Ham are the team who are going to join the race for Anthony Martial. Obviously, West Ham have just sold their main striker, Scamacca, to Atalanta. He went as a replacement for Rasmus Højlund, who's obviously come to Manchester United. So it does now mean that West Ham are in the market for a striker. And that is where this story has come from. Now, my initial reaction on this, I think Anthony Martial would be a great fit at West Ham. Obviously, they're in Europa League, so he would be playing European football. I think he would do really, really well at West Ham. I think he would get a lot of goals. Hopefully, he'd be able to stay fit there. I don't know whether it's just him being injury prone. It's so difficult with players being injured. You don't know exactly what the finite detail of it is. But I do think West Ham would be a great move for him. And it would be funny, wouldn't it, if they did the hat-trick of signings, if they got Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay and Anthony Martial all in one summer. David Moyes does a hat-trick, gets them all. That would be good, wouldn't it? Now, the question I wanted to ask everybody before we move on to the next bit of news is, how much do you think Anthony Martial is worth in the current market? Please do consider he's on £250,000 per week, and he only has 1 year left on his remaining deal. So we need to either sell him now or we'll lose him for free next summer. That's the thing we have to consider here. For me, I think if we can get anywhere between 10 and 20 million pounds, I think I would take that. Clearing the wage bill is, of course, a massive, massive priority this summer. Removing him from the club would save us about £12 million a year. This year alone in wages. Obviously, he'll go as a free agent next year anyway. So if you say got even 10, which is the very low end of what I would expect to get for him, say you got £10 million and then you also clear his wages, that'll be about £22 million that you would have cleared from the Manchester United account, which of course would be a massive help. It does help with financial fair play, and it does allow us to then spend more money. But do let me know in the comments section how much would be the price you would be willing to accept. Would 10 be enough for you? Do you want more? Let me know your thoughts. Now, moving on to ingoings. On the video, we did want to look at the 3 most likely possible signings for Manchester United. These are the ones that, out of everybody, I would say are the most likely options. Obviously, there's people like Harry Kane. That's now done and dusted. There's people like Victor Osimhen. Obviously, we're not going to get him. Gonzalo Ramos has gone to PSG. Kolo Muani's too much money. You're getting the picture of where I've come up with this list. So the first one in the list is Mohamed Kudus. Obviously, Brighton have agreed a 14 million euros bid with Ajax for the player, which was accepted by Ajax, but they couldn't agree personal terms with the player. So it looks like at the moment he's staying at Ajax. Apparently, personal terms weren't agreed. And as I said on a previous video before, I know the Premier League's the Premier League, but going from Ajax, one of the most legendary clubs in world football, to Brighton doesn't really feel like a massive step up for me. So I can understand why he's rejected that move. He's currently on 12 grand a week at Ajax, which obviously is no issue for Manchester United. You could easily put him on 100 grand a week and it would be no problem whatsoever. The fact that, Brighton had a 40 million euros bid accepted by Ajax obviously makes it a little bit easier for the negotiations, because you could probably go back in there and say 40 million. They might say no, and then you say 50 and they probably would accept it. Now, Marcel van der Kraan, who is one of the best, if not the best, Dutch journalist at the moment, came out a couple of weeks ago saying, as soon as Erik ten Hag knocks on the door for Mohamed Kudus, he will go. And he went on to say that ultimately, Mohamed Kudus wants to move to the Manchester United. Sorry, he wants to move to the Premier League. And he, if Erik ten Hag comes, he would 100% go there. So that's one of the options. Obviously, he can play as centre forward, he can play as right wing, and he can play in the centre attacking midfield option. So he gives you lots of different possibilities, and he's very versatile, and he's obviously somebody who is definitely a good footballer. Now, the next option is Felix from Atletico Madrid. I know a lot of you in the chat have been asking me a lot about him over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, he's just signed a new contract for Atletico Madrid. I don't think his loan spell at Chelsea was amazing, but it wasn't terrible. I'd say it was average. So he is on 250 grand a week. Apparently, Atletico Madrid would be looking for a loan fee of around £20 million to loan him out for one season. And obviously, you'd have to cover his wages, which are £12.5 million per year. So it'd be a total package of about £32.5 million just to loan him. So you'd have him for one season, and then you'd have to send him back, and you'd be 30 million plus gone out of the window. When you compare that with Mohamed Kudus, that Brighton agreed a fee with him for about the same price as that, and they would then have him as their own player. I mean, it's absolutely crazy, isn't it? Now, Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia have been really, really pushing to buy Felix, but apparently the deal was rejected. It says Atletico rejected the deal. Priority remains to sell João Felix on a permanent deal. So it looks like they've changed their stance a little bit. At the beginning of the window, it was a loan move. Al Hilal had gone in for a loan move. I think if someone like Manchester United did go back in with a £20 million kind of package for him to come and sign for one season, I think Atletico would be open to it. Obviously, him and Diego Simeone seem to have fallen out. I don't know exactly what's happened there because I don't really follow Spanish football that much, but ultimately they have fallen out. And he, they want him out of the club by the sounds of it. If we were to buy him, he's going to cost over £100 million. Which I don't think he's worth. I really don't. I think he's a good player, but I don't think he's a world-class player. And I don't think he's worth over £100 million plus £250,000 a week. I think that's ridiculous. But do let me know in the comments section what you think about Felix. Do you think he'd be a good signing at Manchester United? And is he somebody that you think we should go for if Anthony Martial leaves the club? Because if Anthony Martial goes, we will 100% need to sign a striker. No doubt about it. We will have to get one. Now, the third option is probably the most hipster name of the list, I would say. Now, this is Taremi from Porto. And you know what? I'll wait till the end of the video to give my overall conclusion, but you wait until you hear this bit about Taremi. So Taremi is only paid $8,800 per week at Porto. Crazy. So he's paid less than Kudus and almost a 30th of what Felix is paid per week. Apparently, he has a £20 million price tag. He's obviously 30 years of age. He got 22 goals and 8 assists in 33 matches in the Portuguese league last season. And he also got 5 goals and 2 assists in the Champions League in 5 games. So he did really, really well last season. He got a lot of goals, a lot of assists. And anybody saying, oh, well, it's the Portuguese league, it's not as good. He got 5 goals and 2 assists in 5 matches in the Champions League. So he's done it on the bigger stage. Obviously, he had a really good time at the World Cup. I think he scored 2 goals against England, didn't he, for Iran? So he definitely is a player who's experienced. He's a good goal scorer. Obviously, he's not someone for the future. He's not like Kudus. He's not like Felix. Those people could be at Manchester United for the next 10 years. Whereas Taremi, he's 30 years of age. He is a bit of a short solution. He's someone who'd probably be here for 2, maybe 3 years. But for £20 million, and considering you'd probably only have to give him 50 to 100 grand a week at the very, very most, I think he's quite a good option. But do let me know in the comment section what you think about this one. Obviously, we were linked to him quite heavily at the beginning of the transfer window when it looked like we weren't going to have the funds in order to get someone like Rasmus Højlund or Gonzalo Ramos. There was a lot of talk about Taremi to Manchester United as a kind of cheaper option. But I'm going to now give my conclusion on this one. I actually think that Taremi is the best option at the moment available in this market. I really like Mohamed Kudus. I think he'd be a good signing, but do Manchester United have the resources to spend 40 or 50 million on a player? I'm not sure. Whereas I think, you could probably sell Anthony Martial, that is, for 10 to 20 million. You then use that money, go and buy Taremi. Obviously, you clear all of Anthony Martial's wages, which were around £12 million. And what I'm getting at here is I think the total package for selling Anthony Martial and clearing his wages would end up being about the same amount of money it would cost to bring in Taremi from Porto. Now, I understand that Martial is a younger player. He's 27. So, you could sit there and say, well, what happens if Martial goes to West Ham and does really well and all the rest of it? Obviously, that could happen. But I think most fans in the fan base have now decided that I like Martial. He was a good player at points, but we definitely need to move him on. So for me, it would be Taremi from Porto. I think he's the best option at this moment. He's experienced. He obviously doesn't cause any issues with Rasmus Højlund because Rasmus knows that a 30-year-old isn't going to be here for the next 10 years. He's going to be here for a couple of years. He's going to give us options. He's going to give us goals. And then he's probably going to move on in a couple of years' time. So I'd probably give him a 2 or 3 year contract. Obviously, as I said, his wages are only 8,800 a week currently at Porto. So, you could give him a relatively small contract compared to what, say, Marcus Rashford or a João Felix would earn on 250 grand a week. So, but I want you guys to let me know what you think about this one. Who would be the best option in your opinion? Is there somebody else in the market who you think we should go after instead? Maybe someone like Evan Ferguson from Brighton. Maybe you think we should wait till next summer and go for Victor Osimhen. Let me know in the comment section, as I always like to see your opinions. Thank you very much for watching this video. This has been Daily Red Devil. I've been Kieran. Please do smash a like on the video on your way out and make sure you subscribe. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Lots of love and peace out.